Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you'd like to get some weeknight meal ideas for your family, then just keep watching. For dinner this first night, I tried something new. I made Italian sloppy joes. Now, I'll include the recipe that I used in the description box below. I did not follow the recipe exactly. I just kind of used it as inspiration. In this skillet over about medium heat, I'm going to add some finely diced onion, some ground beef, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then I'm just going to cook that until the ground beef is cooked all the way through. And if your ground beef has a lot of fat in it, you'll want to drain that. You could also use ground turkey in this. Once the meat is brown, I'm going to add in a little bit of minced garlic, give that a stir, and cook that for about 30 seconds or a minute. And then I'm going to use some jarred spaghetti sauce. I believe the recipe calls for like tomato paste and something else, but I just use pasta sauce to make it easy. I'm going to add in a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, some onion powder, garlic powder, and Italian seasonings. You can add whatever seasonings you'd like and just add everything to taste. I also added just a little pinch of sugar. I'm going to stir that around, and I just allowed that to simmer for about 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, really the longer it simmers, the better it'll be, but you can just simmer it for 5 to 10 minutes and it'll be just fine. Now, to go along with this, I'm going to take this garlic bread. I happen to get this at the Dollar Tree, but just use your favorite garlic bread. And I'm going to cook it according to the instructions on the back of the package. Here's the finished sloppy joe mixture after about 10 or 15 minutes. You just want it to be the consistency of sloppy joes. Now I have my bread out of the oven, and all I'm going to do is add some of that sloppy joe mixture to each of the slices of bread. I'm then going to add a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese, some shredded mozzarella cheese, and then I'm going to place this back into the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes or until your cheese is nice and melted. And here are those finished sloppy joes. I just sprinkled a little bit of parsley flakes on top as a little garnish. And then here are the plates. So we have the Italian sloppy joes, and I did some side salads with homemade ranch dressing. This was a really easy dinner, and it was quick to put together. It took me maybe 20 minutes, and this was super budget friendly. So I recommend you give this a try. For dinner the next night, I tried another new recipe for a chicken and pesto casserole. This recipe came from Adrienne over at What My Kids Won't Eat. I'll include a link to her video and channel in the description box below, so be sure to check it out. I know you'll love her channel. This was another really easy dinner to put together, so let me show you how I made it. I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. Next, I have some chicken breasts, and I'm just going to season both sides. You can use whatever seasoning you'd like. I'm going to use some garlic powder, Cavender's, a little bit of salt and pepper. You'll want to be careful if you use that Cavender's. It does have salt, and I believe salt's the first ingredient, so just kind of be mindful of that. But once I've seasoned both sides of my chicken, in this skillet over about medium heat, I'm just going to sear my chicken. I've added a little bit of olive oil. Now, you don't want to actually cook your chicken all the way. You're just searing the chicken on both sides. I'm going to place my seared chicken into a greased casserole dish, and then I'm going to add my pesto. You can use your favorite brand of pesto. You could also use homemade. I found this Barilla pesto at the Dollar Tree. It was not bad, just $1 for this little jar, which is a great deal. I'm going to spread some of the pesto on the chicken. Next, I'm going to add a couple slices of tomatoes. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt to each tomato. You don't have to do that, but I really feel like tomatoes need a little touch of salt to bring out their flavor. Then I'm going to add some shredded mozzarella cheese. You could also use fresh mozzarella, that would be good as well. I'm going to place this into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes. It really just depends on how thick your chicken is. You just want to make sure that you cook it until it's 165 degrees internal temperature. Now for the side dish, Adrienne suggested serving this with some garlic whipped potatoes, so that's what I'm going to make tonight. Here I have a couple of russet potatoes that I peeled, washed, I cut them into chunks. I brought them to a boil, and then once they were nice and tender, I drained the water off. In this pot, I've added the potatoes back. I'm going to add some butter, milk, salt, pepper, some minced garlic, and then I've seen the Pioneer Woman add cream cheese to her mashed potatoes before. I decided to give it a try tonight. I'll include a link to her recipe in the description box below. I didn't use the same measurements. I just used hers for inspiration. And so I only added about an ounce of cream cheese, but I really enjoyed it. I'll definitely be making that again. I'm going to just mash those potatoes until they're the texture that I want them to be, and then those will be ready. For my other side, I made some roasted Brussels sprouts. I've shared this before on my channel. It's really easy. I just take my Brussels sprouts, slice them in half, toss them with some olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and some chopped up bacon. I cook these in the oven until they're nice and roasted, and then I toss them in some balsamic vinaigrette. So good. If you think you don't like Brussels sprouts, give this recipe a try. I think you'll enjoy them. Then here are those mashed potatoes. Again, we really enjoyed these. My husband is not a big mashed potatoes fan unless they're loaded, and he liked these as well. And then here is the chicken. Here are the finished plates. So we have the chicken, the mashed potatoes, and then the Brussels sprouts. This was really good. My husband took one bite of the chicken and looked at me and he said, "Is this a new recipe?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Okay, put this in the rotation. This is amazing." He loves pesto flavored like pasta salads, anything pesto he loves. And I have to say this was good. So like I said, Adrienne's channel will be linked in the description box below. Definitely go to her channel, check this out, and give this a try. For dinner the next night, I tried another new recipe. This is sweet chili shrimp. I got this from Kayla over at the Unmodern Millennial. I'll include a link to her video in the description box below. This is super easy. You really just need 2 ingredients. I have this popcorn shrimp that I'm going to cook in the air fryer. You could, of course, cook this in the oven. And then Kayla tossed her shrimp in some sweet chili sauce once they were done. When I went to get my sweet chili sauce out of the pantry, I found this Asian Zing Buffalo Wild Wing sauce. It was next to it. So we decided to use the Asian Zing sauce. So here is the shrimp. Like I said, as soon as it was done out of the air fryer, I just tossed it in that sauce. I made some quick white rice to go with that. And then I took a bag of the steamable broccoli. I cooked it in the microwave according to the package instructions and then seasoned it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Here are the finished plates. So we have some of the rice, the broccoli, and the shrimp. Now, when I go to Buffalo Wild Wings, I always get the Asian Zing wings and I don't find them too hot. I don't know if maybe Buffalo Wild Wings does something differently or if the bottles are just a little bit spicier, but this sauce was spicy. These shrimp had a kick to them. Not a bad thing. It was just spicy. Now, next time I make this, I think I will use half of the Asian Zing and half of the sweet chili sauce or all of the sweet chili sauce. But like I said, this was a really easy dinner to put together. Super quick. I recommend you give this a try. For dinner the next night, I made chicken cordon bleu. Now, if you didn't catch my last grocery haul video, actually my last 2 ones, I've mentioned that I recently went through my pantry and my freezers and did an inventory, and I've got a lot of things in my freezers and pantry that I really need to work through. I need to get that rotated before things start going bad. So several of the meals from this week's video, if you notice, like the popcorn shrimp and the first meal and this meal especially, really I'm pulling from my freezer and my pantry, and you'll see that in several of my upcoming what's for dinner videos. So all I've done is I've taken these chicken cordon bleus. I got these from Aldi. I'm just going to bake these in the oven according to the package instructions. I'm taking these scalloped potatoes. I believe these came from Aldi as well. I'm just going to cook those in the oven according to the package instructions. And then I made some glazed carrots. I've shared this before on my channel. I just take some canned carrots. These came from my pantry. I add a little bit of butter, some either brown sugar or honey, salt and pepper, and then I just warm those up nice and slowly. Here are the finished plates. We have the chicken cordon bleu, the scalloped potatoes, and the carrots. This was an easy dinner and really yummy. For dinner the next night, I made enchilada stuffed zucchini boats. This is a recipe that I made from Sarah over at Sarah's Realm. I'll include a link to her video in the description box below. I made this as part of a recipe swap collab that we did. I'll also link my video. This was an easy dinner. It's great to make it this time of year when zucchini is super cheap. I forgot to take a picture of this on this night, so this picture is actually from when I made it in my previous video. To go along with the zucchini boats tonight, I just did a quick salad with some homemade ranch, and that was dinner. For the last dinner in this week's video, I did what I call a snacky dinner. My little brother and sister came over to spend the night with us. They go back to school this upcoming week, so we had them over one last time before school started. I've mentioned this before on my channel, but just in case you're new, there are 4 of us. I'm the oldest. I have a younger sister who's about 2 years younger than I am, and then my little sister is 15. My little brother is 12. So those are the 2 that are going back to school. They came over, and I just thought it would be fun to make several different appetizers and do a game night so that we could just kind of eat and snack and play games. And so that's what we did. It was a lot of fun. Let me show you what I made. When I was going through my freezers to do the inventory, I realized that I had 2 bags of meatballs. These just both happened to be turkey meatballs. Both of them were about a half a bag, and they had been opened, so I wanted to go ahead and use them up. I've just placed them into my crock pot. I'm going to add some grape jelly and barbecue sauce, and then just place a lid on it and cook these. I cooked them on low for about 3 hours. You could cook them on high for about 2 hours. With these meatballs, if you've never had this before, I know it might sound like a weird combination with the grape jelly and the barbecue sauce, but it's really good. Just make sure with these meatballs that you don't overcook them. If you overcook them, they get really tough and really yucky. Next up, I'm making a veggie crescent pizza. This is one of my favorites. I love this. I make this every Christmas Eve. I could probably eat this whole pan by myself. It's so good. I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I've sprayed this baking sheet with some cooking spray. I'm going to lay out my crescent rolls and pinch the dough together. You could use those crescent dough sheets, and in fact, that's what I would have preferred to do. I just wasn't thinking when I got the crescent dough, but I'm just going to place this into the preheated oven and cook it for about 10 to 12 minutes until it's nice and golden brown and cooked all the way through, and then I'm going to allow it to cool completely. Once that crescent crust has cooled, I'm going to add my softened cream cheese into this bowl. I'm going to add the sour cream and then the ranch dressing mix. I'm going to stir that until it's well combined. Now, a quick note here, I will include the link for this recipe and the recipe for the barbecue meatballs in the description box below, but I do want to note that I am having the recipe. Now I'm going to spread that cream cheese mixture over my crust, and then I'm going to add my vegetables. Now you really can add whatever vegetables you and your family like, and it's a great way to also use things up that you have on hand. I like shredded carrots, diced Roma tomatoes, diced cucumbers, and chopped up broccoli. You could also add bell peppers, green onions, celery, again, whatever vegetables you and your family like. Next, I'm going to add some shredded cheddar cheese, and once I've added the cheese, I'm going to take my fingertips and I just kind of press the cheese and vegetables into the cream cheese a little bit. Then I'm going to cover this with some plastic wrap and place this into the refrigerator for about 30 minutes before serving. Here is what I set out. So first I made some no-bake cookies the day before, so I just set those out. We have the barbecue meatballs, and then when I was going through my freezer, I found some of the little mini tacos from Sam's Club, so I baked those in the oven, and to go along with that, we have this Tex-Mex sour cream dip that I got at Kroger. I had all the vegetables, so I just set out a veggie tray. I have carrot sticks, cucumbers, broccoli, homemade ranch, and then some black olives. Here is that vegetable pizza. And then here are some ham and Swiss sliders. I've shared this before on my channel. I'll include that in the description box below. These are delicious. If you've never given these a try, I highly recommend that. And then, like I said, we just had this and then we snacked and we played games. Here is my husband's plate. If you've been with me before, you know that I do not like black olives. I forgot to get a picture of my plate, but here's his plate, and that was our dinner this night. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.